Shalom, brothers and sisters. There was a time we used to pray against certain evil powers. We used to pray a lot, but we didn't receive results. Sometimes we receive results, good ones, but later, same problem recurs. Same issues happen again. Then we went deep into prayers, and then the Lord spoke to us. And the Lord told us that there is battle for sacrifices. The devil's side had been sacrificing a lot. People kill, people cause accidents so that the devil gets blood, and then they succeed in what they had been doing. To some of us, it was a surprise because we think, okay, why should we sacrifice? And yet Jesus was a sacrifice. Jesus paid it all. We decided to follow God's instructions. We decided to obey, and we had to offer sacrifice. And sacrifices can be money, can be material things, can be things you love most, can be your time. But today we are talking about sacrificing tangible things, sacrificing your money, sacrificing things you love. The battle of sacrifice means that the devil's side is sacrificing and you are also sacrificing. But at times when you don't sacrifice, you don't give anything to God. We only just pray and fast. There are some battles which becomes very difficult for us. The devil's side do a lot of things to outshine, to outwin God's people. Yes, there is mercy, there is grace, there is love of God, but we should be sacrificing to win some of these battles. In the book of 2 Kings, chapter 3, verse 27, it is written, "Then he took his firstborn son," now this is the king of Moab, who was to succeed him as a king, "and offered him as a sacrifice on the city wall. The fury against Israel was great. They withdrew and returned to their own land." So Israel had been winning this battle. And by the look of things, they were winning against the king of Moab. Then the king of Moab decided to sacrifice his firstborn son, and he won the war. There are some things, even if we are God's children, even if we repent and do other things, we need to sacrifice. Devil can come and do terrible things to our life. For example, if you are not very careful, you can be very innocent and find yourself into jail. The kingdom of the devil can sit down and plan on how somebody can create stories, can say you are a thief, you are a murderer, and you find yourself into prison. God can speak to you through dreams. Then he tells you need to sacrifice. Or can speak to a man of God. Some of these battles are very, very tough. Like death, like accidents, like marriages. These battles can be very, very tough. And we need to sacrifice to protect our marriages. We need to sacrifice to protect our relationships. We need to sacrifice to protect our loved ones, to protect our job, to protect our businesses, to protect our everything which looks good to us. So not everybody in prison is a criminal. Some of them, devil's plan. Not everyone who is dead had reached his or her days of dying. I know in funerals we say that God planned, God loved him or he loved her more than us. That's why he took him or he took her. Some people die because it is a plan of the devil. Some people perish in accidents, some people become disabled because it's devil's plan, not God's plan. Yes, Jesus finished it all. But Jesus never said you should never sacrifice. Sacrifices has never been stopped, especially when you are sacrificing to God. When you're giving your things you love. Some teachings about sacrifices are being taught by people who are bitter. Maybe one day they had sacrificed, or their parents or other people ahead of them had sacrificed, and then the pastors, the priests, or men and women of God misused that money, misused such sacrifices. So they were bitter with these men of God. Then they decide not to sacrifice again. So that cannot be a reason why you should not sacrifice. If you are a man or woman of God, you are giving sacrifices, you realize that they are misusing. That is not an excuse for you to sacrifice. Look for another person you trust, another man or woman of God you trust. Because this battle is very, very tough. And the devil is taking advantage of our ignorance. The devil is taking advantage of our lack of forgiveness, because maybe sometimes people can misuse your sacrifice. Then you become bitter. Then you decide not to sacrifice again. Then the devil will do exactly the working of Moab did. Sacrifice against your life. You get diseases, you get cancer. Then you decide, okay, I'm just going to pray alone. There are battles of powers and principalities. These are tougher battles than the normal demons. Obedience is better than sacrifice. So sometimes God can tell you to sacrifice. Then you have to obey them. Dealing with evil altars is not a joke. And when we are praying, sometimes we find that the battles become stronger. You find yourself losing your loved ones. You find yourself in hospital. Then you ask, okay, why am I praying and fasting and yet I'm getting all these problems? Remember, when you are praying and fasting, you are breaking evil altars. Then you have to, after breaking evil altars, you have to build an altar of God. And building altars to God or of God involves yourself sacrificing. Go and see how David sacrificed. You cannot build an altar which costs you nothing. Sometimes God can speak to you to give something you love. You will sacrifice till you feel it. Then you find yourself in the next step. So it is good for us to learn to do sacrifices before it is too late. Because at times you might realize you could have sacrificed some time back. Already it's too late. May God bless you and keep you in His love.